Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Sons and Daughters of Liberty. I'm Drew, and tonight it'll be another episode of Ramblings of the Chaotic Mind. Here in the past few weeks, my mind's been a little bit of everywhere on various things. And sometimes I just like to sit back, talk about some of the things that have been going through my little chaotic mind, some of my, impressions, things that I've seen that kind of came to me. It's a way for me to kind of clear my mind and also find new topics to discuss as well that may become later a set of topics for a scheduled talk or a video that I might do. And plus, it's good. I've learned over the years it's good to just clear your mind from time to time, not focus on anything, but just let things flow. I used to do it with my writing when I wrote and published in the magazine that we had once done. But I've also done it how I do rough drafts and stuff when I'm writing certain things, or even with poetry. I just let it flow. So I've learned over the years it helps. For me anyway, like I said. We're all unique in our own way. We all function differently. And we all have our own views and opinions and beliefs. I think some of the things for me these past couple of weeks is this fact, approaching that big 4-0, that black birthday this week, and, just reflecting things I've accomplished in 40 years, the things that I still haven't and want to accomplish. I don't know why they call it the black birthday, but that's what I've always known it by, and it's just another day, right? One more day older and wiser. I know some of you probably want to hear about things that have happened today, and I might get into that, and I might not. It's a time of year where I don't want to see that negative stuff. We've had enough of it throughout this whole year, but it is a reality. Things that are going on in the world. Things that are still going on here. Because if I talk about it, we already know what I'm going to. None of us are blind. We all understand. Well, we all can't understand why certain states and cities still hold on to the idea of sanctuary cities. So that's that. I don't feel like talking about it right now. I might later. Now earlier I did catch a video that was interesting. They were talking about the petrodollar and Bitcoin. Brought up some good points and how it worked, which I already knew. But the images. I talked about this a little bit in the last video we did. Words, images, and similar. Words, information, and symbols. The image they had was it kind of looked like an eagle, at least with the wings, standing on a stack of dollars with flames coming up, and it had something odd on its head. And then the background image, which was irrelevant, it was just representing the oil industry. It was a bunch of oil wells. What caught me was the representation of what looked to be an eagle, and the flames coming up around from the dollars and stuff. It didn't remind me, and in the center of the eagle, the neck and the chest area, had the Bitcoin emblem, which is an actual emblem. Somebody else did some research on it. It came out, that emblem was pre-shown in like the 60s. So not a new concept. And that image triggered that memory of watching that video. I don't know who did it. I think it was Dabu who did it. That particular video breaking down the symbol. It might have been Casey, actually. It was one of those two, I'm pretty sure. It might have been both of them. But it reminded me of that. The other image I got from it was not of an eagle, but the phoenix rising from the ashes, rising from the flames. Excuse me. Which was an interesting concept, which is an interesting thought. Why that thought came to me beats the hell out of me. And I've learned over the years not to question those stray thoughts. They come up for a reason, and I have a tendency to listen and follow and do a little research, or they trigger memories. That's the power of images and symbols. They'll trigger memory that you've left dormant and haven't thought on, and bring them up. I got to thinking about that. And on the video I'm talking about, which most of you probably could care less about who it came from because of who it is, but Brittany Pettibone, which odd video for her to be doing, I must say. If anybody's listened to her podcasts and stuff, that's what kind of caught my attention. What's she talking about petrodollar for? And I was glad I tuned in. It's normally pretty much won't hear anymore. A lot of those people I just don't even tune into anymore. So goes back to what I said, trusting yourself and listening to stuff. I was drawn to it, you know? And she started breaking down how China, Russia, Venezuela, how they've started, Iran, all the other third world countries have started integrating into Bitcoin or cryptocurrencies. But yet we sit here in the United States and we don't see laws being passed that allow us to be able to directly buy Bitcoin. In fact, we cannot. We can mine it. We can buy it from second party. We can't go right to the exchange and buy it. We have to have a second party, which was interesting, which is, I've listened to the guy that helped create create the program. He's creating a new blockchain system. He broke it down, how in America, Americans can't make that money on it because they have to buy from a second hand from an exchange because of the regulations and laws, how we don't recognize it. Our government don't recognize it. And it got me thinking. It's like, because I remember last month there was a report done how the federal government warned our celebrities not to be promoting cryptocurrencies here in the U.S. and basically told them there can be repercussions, because we don't recognize the cryptocurrency. It's not a currency in the United States, and that they can be held accountable for sponsoring them and advertising on Twitter and other social network platforms. And it's kind of shocking to see how many people actually deleted all their stuff. Nobody asked why. Or else it goes back to everything I talked about. Nobody questions anything. When we're dealing with a lot of things, information included, agendas, they're multi-level, multi-layered. We get to see the shiny thing that catches our attention, and we don't question, is there any more behind it? Well, let's talk about Bitcoin. I mean, it's up for debate who created it. And for the most part, I still believe it's unknown. Nobody knows who created Bitcoin. And a lot of times when you start dealing for everybody, you understand that you can create your own coin as well. Create your own currency. Which don't make sense if you think about it, because what are you backing it on? Every currency has to be backed on something. Something to give it value that can be given. But we do have that. The blockchain is an example of that. Information. Information has always been the most valuable thing, sought after above any type of currency, gold, gems. Information can bring power, can take power away, can be misused. Information has no value, but at the same time has more value than the most precious diamond in the world. And we don't question these things. You don't question when we get into the cryptocurrency and start mining how much information we're giving up. It goes back to consent versus we do not consent. Well, there's no such thing as we do not consent because you accepted the terms of service. You accepted, so therefore you consented. You know, we also was thinking about, I remember how we used to, a bunch of us, everybody started posting, and you still see it on Facebook and other platforms. You'll still see the Ron Paul thing that he sent everybody, you know, saying, I do not consent, do not give permission for you to use this, but you already did. By joining that site and creating your page, you gave consent for that information to be used. You can post that little thing all you want, but in the end, if you were ever to go to court over a case, they would plain and simple point out you agreed to it. You committed to a contract, so therefore, you can paste that statement all you want. Just like, get caught up. They want to make you confess to something or write a statement you don't want. You'd sign it and put signed under duress. You can't do that on the electronic platforms. I mean, some could probably use that as an argument. Well, I posted this saying that I pretty much will sign under duress. Maybe. Doubtful, because they're just going to hit you till you agree to this contract. That's getting a little bit off topic, but I felt it needed to be said. But like I said, nobody questions things. Nobody even questioned that. Everybody was able to get that email to them from Ron Paul's newsletters, and they all started posting. They didn't question. Well, can it actually work? Is there legal grounds for it? Half the time, nobody reads the TOS because it's pretty much full of fine print, words that can be left to be interpreted as you will, and the list goes on from there on that. But I think it's funny. Why hasn't our government embraced the idea of cryptocurrency? I mean, I've given plenty of examples why before, but I've never thought about it in the way I'm thinking about it right now. And like I said, these are my opinions and views. I don't even know how accurate they may be. I'm using them for the ability to question things. See if there's a perspective there that I can look at and find patterns and stuff to make more sense of things. Or just to completely say it's BS and, that's what you got to do. Sometimes just make a game out of it, have fun, see where it goes. But nobody questioned the fact why, to this day, our government hasn't even tried to acknowledge and create their own form of cryptocurrency. We're still based on petrol. Petrol's up and down always. I mean, I understand that. I understand it rakes in a lot of money. Budget, we get that. We get that part of the business part. We get the fact that we're so far in debt, we needed a different currency that we could that would be always fluctuating to help bring down our debt. So I get that. I also get the fact, and this was my stance on this before, why would a government give control over to every one of us, to control our own money that they don't have control over, that they don't tax? See, that's the other part people don't question about cryptocurrency. If you can create your own coin, you have control over that. The government don't. The government don't like giving us control of anything. They like to give us the illusion of control. And that's where I'm starting to, that's why I've always looked at cryptocurrency. They're never going to give control. Now we're seeing banks and stuff buy into it. Okay. Too many forms, too many variants, and the fact that almost anybody can create their own currency, their own coin, should be a red flag to everyone. Excuse me. Then I seen that image. Then, like I said, images are powerful. They can trigger memories. Like I said, as this one did, it triggered memories of something a couple other people had done. And I remembered, clear back in the 60s, that Bitcoin emblem was already shown to the world. Nobody's questioning who, some people do question who created it, but nobody can figure it out. I think the answer was staring us in the face the whole time. The answer is right there, because our government will not accept it. What if they created it and hand-fed it to everyone? Things that are shrouded in mystery, nobody questions. You give a good concept, good idea, even though it's based on maybe some illusion, people might jump to it. It could be a way to crash other markets, or it could be a way that once everybody gets hooked, they reveal that they created it, and you've been using our currency. Kind of a sound tactic. Strategically, it's kind of sound. Because I always find that odd that our government will not accept the form of cryptocurrency. Well, I can see why. We see it every day. They don't want us ever getting ahead, or they want us constantly working so hard we can't afford to do anything besides work. Prices still keep going up. And no change comes about. They say change, change, change. And I don't see it. I see the illusion of change. I don't see real change. But it could be where I live, stuff like that. Maybe it's just not happening in my area just yet. Possibility. That's why I say it's so important to question things. And understand, our communities is diverse. It's a hodgepodge of everything. And we want to put ourselves in labels to divide ourselves from the others. That's called ego. We'll clickbait. We'll put flashy titles to draw people into our channels to grow our followers. We see these things. And we see these things in every business out there. Instead of doing it for the love of it, the fun of it. And some people do. I'm not saying everybody's like that. But most people will get caught up, how many subscribers do I have? How many followers do I have? Why am I getting these view counts? Instead of just doing it and having fun. And letting people make their own decisions of what they hear. I do my thing my way. Which is a little bit different from the way the magazine was. The magazine, there was about 4 of us involved in that. There was 2 of us that originally created it, but we still had to find that medium. But, and it's a medium I'm trying to find here, because on that type, what we were doing there, it was everyone. It didn't matter people's beliefs and stuff or practices. We had a little bit of everything for everyone. They could not read the sections they didn't want to and go right straight to the sections that was just for them. It was amazing how we did it. It was amazing to this day the magazines are still getting read. The last I checked on Scribd and Isu, some of our publications have over 300,000 views and reads. So it's amazing, because it was such a hodgepodge of information from different beliefs, different practices. We covered it in the magazine. The magazine was over 300 pages every month. And everybody was able to contribute. I tried that when I started doing YouTube stuff. It just didn't work, because nobody wants to come out of their niche. Everyone wants to stick to their labels. And they don't want to question things. Like I pointed out in the last video. We start seeing the cameras and stuff in our cars, and they self-back up. Nobody questions anything. We see the cool idea of it. It's cool, don't get me wrong. I hate parallel parking. I hate backing up, trying to park with a trailer. But yeah, it's kind of neat. but it's numbing you down, softening you down to accept these things. So when they finally say, well, you don't need to drive anymore, the car drives itself. It's integrating the technology and getting you used to it before they put it into full effect. They do it so much, but nobody questions the underlying thing. It's like, okay, why are we showing this? Why are we getting this? And why are you trying to get us hooked on it? Well, the simplicity of it is they're trying to numb you to it, dumb you down to it, so you don't realize you're slowly but surely giving up some of your freedoms as you accept these things. As far as the cryptocurrency and Bitcoin things, I don't know. I do know what the blockchain is. I do understand it. I understand its information. In the end, it's all information. How we can use the information and sell an item, target a certain audience, market to a different audience. How this information can be used to remove an old ideology and insert a new one. There's multiple layers to these things, and I just find it funny that our government still refuses to acknowledge the cryptocurrency. Why? Maybe they're the ones that actually created Bitcoin. I can't prove that. But then again, it's kind of odd that that emblem is older than dirt. I mean, 60s? Maybe earlier than that. 60s is the number that's coming to me, so I'm saying 60s. What if it is that? Okay, it was right there, in front of our faces the whole time. It just took 3 or 4 decades to roll out, to wait for the technology to catch up, to slowly introduce the technology to people a little bit at a time. You know, this week we're getting ready to, our House, Congress is getting ready to vote on net neutrality. And we all got our opinions on that. We all think them doing away with net neutrality is a bad thing. I mean, for me, if they would do something, we would do away with net neutrality. Let's say everything we're hearing, everything everybody's talking about is true. Well, that'd be the end of me streaming videos. That'd be the end of me uploading videos. That'd be the end of me being able to connect with my family in Brazil on Facebook, my friends that are all over the world, the various platforms I'm on. Because now they're going to want to charge an extra service for this. Oh, so when I want to break from things and a break from reality, I want to play World of Warcraft. Oh, I got to pay extra to be able to play that on top of paying World of Warcraft game. Yeah, doesn't sound so fun. Oh, I want to watch Netflix because I'm tired of all the crap on regular TV. Oh, got to pay extra for that. But yet we see the monopolies that are out there. Don't need to name the big names because we all know what they are. They're in our face every day. We use them every day because there's just very few others that offer what they offer. I got to thinking. This, granted, might be the end of me and a bunch of other people, but would it actually help? Because it could be the end of free source as well, open source software, open source platforms. But then again, it could benefit them as well. It could give them an opportunity to charge for their software and be able to catch up to the other bigger corporations. Now I got to thinking about that. I truly don't think that's right, what the whole ideology of it is, but it's a thought. I mean, but they also same principle. They don't like open source, because open source allows us to be able to do things and create things on these platforms, then to even to the point of creating our own servers by using open source material, software, coding. Here's another way, and this was a little bit scary thought, because I kind of pointed it out. They're getting tired of people questioning things and talking about things that they don't want us to be questioning or talking about that goes against the status quo. That Congress could just say, screw net neutrality, just for that fact, because they know, just like I realized, that's the way to put an end to a bunch of us. That's the way to gain control back of the internet. And because, if you're struggling to get by, and you got to start paying extra fees for your internet, for the things that you love, for the apps that you love, for the social platforms that you love, you're going to lose a bunch. Or you're going to have to sacrifice something to be able to keep having those. And many families can't afford any more extra expenses. And that'll be the first thing that goes. That's another way to look at what could possibly happen with net neutrality this week. They could see it as for what everyone else is seeing it. They could see it. Well, we can't get Trump to stop tweeting all the time, so we'll just make him lose part of his audience by making him pay extra to be on Twitter. Wow. Talk about suppressing. Nobody questioned that part of it. I've never heard, of all the people that I follow and listen to, I've never heard anybody talk about that aspect of it or question that aspect of it. It would be the way to rein us back in, force us to listen to programs that we don't recognize as truth anymore, and force us back into that. These are definitely weird and crazy times we're living in. Because when you do that, that's just like taking complete control of the internet. That's why I keep telling people, question everything. Because many of these things they throw in front of our faces every day, there's multiple meanings behind it, multiple agendas. Just like I commented on somebody's Twitter account. They posted something about what happened today and how a certain organization was reporting, that it was because of what's been going on in Gaza with the missiles and stuff. That's why he did what he did. And I'm like, yep. I was wondering how long it was going to take for them to link it to this and blame Israel. The next thing you know, they're going to blame Trump for wanting to move our embassy and causing all this tension. It's all one elaborate game to them. Misinformation is just as powerful as information. Those that know how to wield it, use it, and manipulate it can make us see whatever they want. I mean, for me, the most horrible images seen today was how all these so-called cab drivers just stopped in the middle of the street, got out and started praying, just giving praise for what happened. Like, what? Really? I mean, I know if I did that, if you guys did that or any Christian did that, oh no, we got a ticket, harassed. That's the world that we're living in today? Oh no. Because why? One, you're endangering people. You're disrupting the flow of traffic. Two, if I employed you, you're not making me money by stopping your car or your cab and taking your own personal time and personal break. I would be furious. Oh, but yet I couldn't fire him because they'll hide behind and use our Constitution against us. See how things work? But nobody questioned that. And the ones that did, well, it's like I said, for me, where the blame needs to be put? Oh, that's right. Not Trump, not Israel, not Jerusalem. On the very sanctuary city that keeps harboring these people. You don't get the idea. Sanctuary city means sanctuary, a safe haven, a refuge where you can go and be left alone. You don't have to worry about people knocking in your doors or knocking into your houses of worship. Everyone's welcome. What does that draw? Yeah, that draws the worst of the worst. There's where I have a problem. Just like what happened out in California. This person's been deported 7 times. Violent cases. Can't even get justice. Weren't even allowed to talk about that in the courtroom. That don't draw in the people we want here. That draws in the people the very people like that person we don't want in our country. I mean, common sense. Get some. It's free. Quit re-electing these very same people that keep doing the very same thing into office. But then again, that made me think of something else. Things are different when we're dealing with our local and state offices because they don't get big recognitions to the mayors and governors and the senators in the state. It's just a local matter that the whole state votes on. And it's much easier to control, or, what word I'm looking for? Rig. I like to believe for the first time in a very long time that the reason why we got Trump into office, this was because everyone's voice was actually heard. Everyone's vote was counted for. Why? Because he made a big deal of rigging. He made it so it was almost virtually impossible for them to do any type of rigging and get away with it. And there's other theories behind that other than the main one. Look who he ran against. Somebody that was unelectable would never get elected. Because I tell you, I firmly believe that if he ran up against Bernie Sanders, we'd have be looking at different policies today. Bernie Sanders was way more electable than Hillary. And I don't agree with what he had to say. Because I've seen what socialism and the ideology of socialists leads. I mean, if you guys need any examples, Venezuela, Brazil. And every failed socialist movement usually turns into communism. But heck, we don't teach that history anymore to our high schoolers and college students. That's taboo. That leaves a blemish on things, so they don't need to know that. we don't question these things. We just, I don't know, I don't get it. I mean, I was taught to question some things, at least. You know, I was told to respect my elders and not question my elders or not question my teachers. And as I grew older, I realized the error of those ways. Question everything. If it don't feel right, ask a question. Truthfully, guys, you know what the only stupid, dumb question is a one that is unasked. There's no such thing as a stupid question, because it's so obviously something you don't understand or know, so it has importance. But when you don't ask the question, or when you don't question a question, then nobody else will. Questions open people up to other ideas and make them question things that, hey, you bring up a couple of good points here. I didn't see it that way. Let me look into it a little bit more. Let me question myself and my ideologies and philosophies and theologies and all the other colorful labels we put on things. You know, I broke it down in the other video, what labels do. Labels only have one purpose. It's not to unite you, it's to divide you. And a lot of the labels that we know of today, they had a different name in history and a different name before that. They change it to adapt to society, to dull them down, to say, oh, this ain't this anymore. This is something new. In reality, it's still the same old thing, just with a new name. You know, if I stand against one thing, it's division. Can't stand it, hate it. Because there's a lot of truth to the saying and the strategy of divide and conquer. Using propaganda to misinform, to mislead. And the best ones out there know how to use it. They just color it with a little bit of truth. Something shiny to catch your attention and keep your focus on. A ray of hope. And slowly change it, integrate it, add more things to it while you're caught in the shining. And as you start hearing more people talk about it, it catches like wildfire. It becomes a movement. Then that movement starts to splinter and divide in itself. I mean, let's look at the alt-right. How many different names are there for now? Rogue right, light right, alt-right, right. Well, what the hell? Red pill. Screw into those guys. Nobody questioned. These things took on movement in themselves and it drew in the wrong people. You know, let's look at New York City. I mean, it's scary to think that we still have to worry about these things when supposedly New York City, we're a bunch of people out there. When it comes to surveillance, security, is more top of the line than the FBI and CIA headquarters when it comes to that. But yet it's placed in a sanctuary city. How much of that's actually being real? Where's the reality of it? Or is it just the illusion of it? You know, it's just like people talk about prophecies and stuff. I'm not a big fan of it. You know why? I've stated this in my last video, because you'll have those that want to make it come about. And you'll have those that don't want it to come about. So you're already causing a rift, a division. You're already causing agendas. Because there's people out there, real zealots, that's going to do things to make things come about. And the more people they can get to believe in that. I'm not saying all prophecy is wrong. I like to believe in some of it. There's some semblances, but it is also dangerous. Every war we've had. Oh, the hour is drawing nigh. We've been saying that since the death and resurrection. Why? Because we have this image that things are going to get bad. And they seem bad for a time. I'd like to, when things get like that, I like to remind myself of the book of Ecclesiastes. There's a season for everything. There's a season for war, love, peace, sowing, reaping. Everything has its season. Everything has its time. New breaking news. Well, that's supposed to be iCitizen news. It used to be iCitizen news. Brazilian destroys a heart facility. Yes, I read about that. I actually had a couple people I know that was involved in that. I mean, we don't realize how much stuff goes on around the world that if we weren't connected to people, we wouldn't know these things. We wouldn't understand how bad things have gotten. But then again, there's good things that are happening at the same time. Especially this time of year, there's people that's donating stuff to make sure kids have things, families that can't afford it have it. There's a lot of good in this world. It just doesn't get the attention. It doesn't get the information shared to everyone like a catastrophe or a major breaking event. And no one questions that either. Why do they want us to see all that stuff and be depressed? When this time of year we should be seeing all the good things that come about. Sometimes I enjoy the local news just for that because they do share those things, what's going on in the community. Like in Toledo, they did a report how they took all the people in the cancer ward. I think it was St. John's, St. Luke's, one of the major hospitals in New York, and they closed down the, what's the name, Imagination Center, and let the families and the kids and all of them come in there and have that place to themselves for like a whole day. Because they're suffering. Medications are on fighting cancers and stuff. That did something nice for them in this time of year. That's the stuff I like to hear about. Not just this time of year, but every day. We see more of that. What does that do? That instills hope. That shows us there's still good things happening every day. Why don't they show that? You know, People of the Year this year was those who broke the silence on Twitter, broke the silence movement or whatever it was called. Why wasn't it somebody that sacrificed their time, took time off their work, an everyday citizen and used what little influence they had by using YouTube to get donations to go out there and help? Why wasn't somebody like that the person of the year? Don't get me wrong. What they did was amazing. But there's that negativity there as well because it's one big scandal that we're seeing every day in our faces. Every day there's somebody new getting suspended or fired. And also, and not to defend any of them, but also remember there's people out there in this world who will say something because they know that person has money and they can cash in on it. Because, and I think, in a couple cases already that they didn't want us to report or share anywhere. When they get found, find them out, just the individuals, because there's only probably a few that do it. When you catch them, they should be charged for perjury and defamation of character. To send the message that if you lie about something and you try to abuse the system, you will be punished. It'll stop making it easier for people to pay people to do these things. And it'll allow the real criminals to be caught, because the real people that stand up, that had these things happen, there won't be no question. Just like I tell people, man, just because something's breaking, don't run with it right away. Research it, fact check it. Put some time into it before you just announce it. Which is really why I'm not talking about what happened today, other than a few aspects of it. Things that I've seen and kind of researched in. Because everybody has their own opinion, their own views. And all the facts aren't out there yet. And, of course, somebody say, well, we can't trust what they tell us anyway. Well, exactly. Just do the research. Come up with your own conclusions. Don't just jump on the bandwagon right away because it happened. Why we see what's going on today. That way you can get the whole picture. Because now there's going to be so many theories why it happened. Who's to blame? My opinion, well, it happened here in the U.S. and it just happened to happen in a city that is a sanctuary city. They're opposing our government by still being a sanctuary city. Just like I showed you the illusion of the carry conceal bill. Sounds great. It's awesome. Not so much. Because every state can deem it not to be for that state. The state has the final say if you can carry, conceal, or open carry in that state. So if you do not do the research, you just happen to be driving through a state because you're going to a state that you're allowed to, and you didn't look up the states you're going through, and you get pulled over, and you get hemmed up because you're carrying a gun, that's not allowed by that state law. That state doesn't allow you to open and carry, so the state has the final say on this, if they're going to implement it in that state. We already heard that New York flat out said, we're not going to allow you to open and carry and conceal in our state. And there'll be plenty of other states that do it. Just as like there'll be plenty that's all for it. And will honor your carry conceal permit from the state you're from. But how many people is going to take the time to do the research for every state they're going to travel through? That's why I talk about some of the things I talk about. That's why I question things and show you these things. So you question these things. So you're prepared for when you go to travel. And you're going to go through all these different states. Because now you're going to have to, can't go through this state. So but I can go down and cross, go 2 states over, then back up to my, see, you got to make a bunch of detours. I mean, me personally, I have my own opinion on that. I think everybody has the right to bear arms, and everybody has the right to carry and conceal wherever they want to go. Like I said, I see the Constitution as black and white. I don't need corrupt politicians to tell me their version of it. Or because this person doesn't believe in it. Because you know what the truth is? Here's a shocker for you. I'm not a big gun nut to begin with. I respect it, though. I make sure I put some time into the weapons I have access to. Once a month, a couple months, put some range time in. You know, I prefer my knives and my hands and feet, other toys that I have, because I prefer to be up close and personal. But don't get me wrong. There's firearms for a reason. I'm not going to walk into a gunfight with a knife. But for me, I'm not a big fan. For me, you know, hunting. I'm only going to hunt when I need to. You know, when we need extra meat and stuff. I'm not going to go hunt every day and kill a big game every day because, well, we can't. But if we could, I want it because what is that doing me? I've got plenty in my freezer. You know, I got enough to where I'm in a community that's enough for the community. So we don't need to overextend it. You know, common sense. You got to protect the wildlife as well. You know, because if you over overhunt, the population decreases to the point where you're not getting the big game, the big lot of meat, and you take the risk of completely depleting that area. It's all common sense. Because hunting with a gun's not like going fishing. You know, when I go fishing, for most time it's just sport. Unless, you know, I'm fishing to actually bring some home. I've already got the size in mind, what I need, how much I need, and then you don't go over. So when you catch something small, catch release. You're just not trying to fill up your stringer with a bunch of small stuff. You know, I want, decent size. You know, the stuff I fish for is regulated anyway. You got to be of a certain size to keep, but it's not like that in every place you go. You know, just like I'm all for different sports. I know how to use a bow. I got a bow. I've got a crossbow. I know how to use black powder, muskets, and cap ammo, ball ammo. I find it as just enjoyable as going out with a rifle or a shotgun. Why? Because it's one shot. That's all you got. Or with a rifle or a shotgun, you might get 2 or 3 shots. It actually helps your hand-eye coordination to be pinpoint. It's a good teaching lesson, the old black powder guns. It teaches you to be precise and to conserve your ammo. You know, just like information. Not everything is meant to be shared or talked about openly or publicly. Maybe amongst a few friends, or maybe sometimes this information is just meant to be kept to yourself. Because if you put it out there, and who knows, people might take it and try to misinterpret it, and it could cause harm, even though that was never your intention. Well, for me, I talk about pretty much anything and everything, but there's some things I don't talk about. You know, there's some things that there's a time and place for everything. And knowing that and teaching yourself about time and place gives you discipline over that stuff. Because not all information is good information. You know, that's what people don't realize about the information. And you know, I think they forget we live in a day of information. Information's at our fingertips. Our getting to be. It's at our voice command now. Whatever we want, it's right there. All you gotta do now is voice it for those that have that technology, or all you gotta do is type it into your computer, or Google search such and such from your phone. See what I'm saying? Then we forget that everybody has their own views and opinions on things. They have their own agendas. They view information maybe differently than we do. We have to have the discipline to be able to discern that, read it, let it speak to us, and question how it speaks to us, how we react to it, how it makes us feel. Does it feel like there's something missing or something's just not right? Or does it feel like it's too good to be true? See, and that can be used against us too. Because we support this cause, this label. Because they said it. It sounds good. It sounds perfect. I wouldn't question it because it comes from this label of matching my ideology. Maybe you should question it. Because maybe that person that's bringing that infiltrated that group. Or maybe that person snatched something without having all the information. But that person knows because this audience is made up of this. They're not going to question those things. And it's easy. It's one of the things I kind of looked back on in my life. I remember what it was like to be young, dumb, doing dumb things, not questioning things, listening to people and never questioning. Yeah, no. It's not a good thing. You know, I don't have regrets in my life for a reason, because I take those bad times, and I take the information that I learned, the experience of it, so not to repeat those things, to question things. And when somebody points some things out, okay, yeah, see how I said that? Okay, whatever. Uh-huh. Know the mentality, guys? Because I don't, but why'd that person see that in me or think that? I don't see that. Maybe I should question that myself on that. Maybe I should ask a few other people. Hey man, do you see this quality in me, or do I come off like that to you guys? Doesn't mean change, because that's that person's opinion and view. But it is good to question, because maybe it's something you didn't realize you were doing. And as you get older, you realize there's things that you didn't. That does happen. And it just helps you. It teaches you how to do that with everything that comes into your life. We don't. This life isn't a bed of roses. Like I talked about the net neutrality thing. Nobody questions or debates the thing, what could happen. What are the pros? What are the cons? What are maybe some of the things that we're not seeing yet that could be implemented or doing? Like I said, it could be a way to silence some of us, get us off, because we can't afford to pay for it. It makes sense if you think about it, how they, crack down on monetizing your channels and stuff. Because people would use that to be able to get better equipment, upgrade their bandwidth to a higher bandwidth so they can stream using other software, open source software. There's a control mechanism there. When you take that stuff away, you can hurt the quality of streams. I'm not too much for monetizing just because of how it was abused. That's the other thing. Every good thing somebody will find a way to abuse it. Unfortunately, when that happens, it's those who are using it for a good thing who gets punished or punished for it. You know, because we do live in a day of an age of information. Information's right there, no matter what it is. Information is me talking, sharing my ideas, my views, my ramblings of a chaotic mind with you. You know, how much information is in this video? To some, there might be none. They might just look at me, oh, it's just some old crazy loon rambling on. To others, they might pick up on things like, well, that makes sense. I never thought of it that way. I never questioned it that way. And there'll be some that'll agree with everything I say. I don't personally like that because what if I got it wrong? Ah, well, I get things wrong. I'm human. I make mistakes. Made plenty of them. And there's no illusion there that I'm not going to keep eventually make a mistake somewhere. I know eventually I'm going to make a mistake somewhere. You know, don't get a big ego. You know, just like today. What did I do today? Well, relax because my body is sore from the 20 plus miles I decided to cross country ski Saturday. And when I only got a couple hours sleep before I did a live podcast, then I went out the other day, Sunday, and went up to the woods to see how many down trees we got, because we got some hellacious wind last week. And, you know, I seen at least 4 that I seen that were widowmakers. They came down finally, except for one. I got to take that down. And I got the lift, and I was like, damn, we got like 20 plus trees down in our woods. You know, which is kind of a good thing for me, because I need that wood. You know, mill it down for some projects I want to do. And they're decent wood, so, you know. Because a lot of the wood up there is maple, oak, walnut. I'm going to get some decent wood that I'm going to be able to turn into projects, make some things. And work out any bugs that I may find in the portable sawmill that I made. So, you know, at the end of the day, I decided just to relax and, you know, pull out the acoustic guitar and the electric, clean them up, polish them up. And, you know, I decided to, you know, it's been a long time. Let me tune them in, you know, do something enjoyable. You know, put some effort into actually learning how to play that half-ass play. You know, set a goal. I want to learn how to play better so I can play different types of music on them. I have them. Why not use them, right? Well, the trick to that is you're going to figure out how sore your fingers are going to be. I thought doing a magazine and typing all the time hurt your fingers. Yeah. But that will pass as my fingertips callous and the muscle memory turns to my fingers from the other various instruments I learned how to play over the years. That muscle memory is still there. I just got to remember it. And it's wintertime. It's the perfect time. It's not always going to be able to go out and do things outside. Plus, it's something else. You know how I said I use pretty much with this podcast to think on things. I'm doing music. My mind's free. I'm focused on that, but I'm letting things flow. So ideas come up. You know, take mental note of the ones that pop in, or write them down in some cases. It It helps me clear my mind and think on things. That's kind of my way of taking time. It's not the roses are taking time to jumble all the chaos that goes through my mind. And it's not chaos. I mean, they're actual things, goals and stuff. Things that are going on that I perceive, like I said. It's just, like I keep telling people, more so and more so here late, and I probably sound like a broken record, on the importance of questioning everything. And I'm pretty sure a bunch of you figured out I've tried to change how I'm doing Sons and Daughters of Liberty. Now I've gotten away from a few things and started talking more on subject matter or conversating with people in the chat, which was the original idea of it anyway. Talking with you guys, sharing our experiences, listening to your views and ideas. Exploring other ideas. It's just like I mentioned, or like last podcast, issues that I've had with my drug. Then it dawned on me, it's like, oh man, if I was actually broke down, I'd have been screwed. Why? Because I took my toolbox out of the truck. Why? Because for a little bit I wasn't driving because I had lost my license because of Ohio's stupid law of proof of insurance. They randomly select you, and my truck was broke down at the time, so I let the insurance lapse. And the hoops you had to go through that, and it's to find out it's just one big Ponzi monopoly scheme, to where even if I went to a deep car dealer or a garage, and they said it, they couldn't pinpoint when it broke down, so therefore the DMV would not recognize a certified mechanic's thing. And every mechanic I went to, they told me that, because I know, and I said, oh, it says here in the law, though, that you can do this. Then they said, every time we do it, the case gets denied, because we can't prove exactly. It's all about money in the end when it comes to that, because if you get caught, what do they get you with? Well, you have to reinstate your license, so that's $150. Then for the next 5 years, you're put on high risk insurance. Oh wait, you got to get a SR bond, I think it is, to even get your license reinstated. So that's where the $150 goes. Then the fine. Then the insurance, which now will be considered high risk, even if you had a perfect driving record. I mean, it's like, what the hell? I've never driven a vehicle without insurance in my life. I mean, for the last 20-some years, I've had a perfect driving record, not even a violation. But why am I going to pay for insurance on a vehicle that's not being driven? Excuse me. It used to be that way. If you weren't driving it, you cancel the insurance. Oh, but now what you got to do is on top of canceling the insurance, you got to cancel your plates. See, more money. Because now you got to get paid to get your plates reinstated. Or reinstated because you canceled them. All about money. They don't care. Well, law clearly states that you can prove it was broken down. You don't have to have insurance. You can prove it's not being driven. Oh wait, to get you there, it needs to be through a certified mechanic. You might be a mechanic yourself, do all the work on your car, never taking it to a garage a day in your life. You don't have this. You're not an ICE certified mechanic, so therefore your diagnosis, your opinion, that's what it is to them. It's your opinion, doesn't matter. So you got to go pay a mechanic to look at your car. Well, if they can't come out there, you're going to have to pay a towing service to tow the car to the mechanic. Money. ways to control you. I heard somebody else talks about today, how cops are now filming you when they pull you over, using their little phones and recording your face and stuff, facial recognition to put you in a system. Guess what, guys? That's not new. You're in the system. Every single one of you. You all have a birth certificate. Many of you have a driver's license, a social security card. You're in the system. Now with the technology, we can really put you in there. Photo recognition. System's been there. It used to be paper. Now it's all digital. It's all information. And some of the stuff they're talking about, it ain't new. 3 or 4 years ago, the police department in Toledo, they got new cars. Well, what was attached to the new cars? Almost a 360. Now we have 360 cameras. But back then, they weren't that popular. They weren't really on the market. This cop car had 360 cameras all the way around, front, back, sides. So if you drove by it, it got your plates and your image, and it instantly ran you through a database right then and there. So if you had any outstanding warrants, didn't pay your parking ticket, instant alert. Clear with your photo ID. Is that the person that the car is registered? But nobody really talked about that because, it's just some local small city in Timbuktu, Ohio. The technology's been there. Truthfully, you're in the system. Once you go get a state ID or a driver's license, they take your picture. It's already there. They don't need to record your face. You're already giving it to them. Much like on Facebook now, you take a picture of friends. If your friends are on Facebook, you don't even have to tag them. It automatically tags them for you. Facial recognition. It's been there in front of your face. And the more information you post on this, the more it adds to your database, to your file, your jacket, or whatever you want to call it. Oh, this person, yeah, he likes such and such, he does this, because you share that information with your friends and your family. Don't question those things. We don't question what we share on social media. We just give it freely. Just like we give our consent freely. As soon as we turn the app on, we don't question. But why? Because we've gotten used to, we have to have it. We have to be connected to everyone. Because it's just as easily saying, well, fine, screw you. Same with that net neutrality thing. If they decide to say, screw everyone, pull back by voting against it. Now we get control back. Okay, cool. I don't need it. Why? Well, I have CBs. I have ham. I still get my information out there. We still have mail service. I can still pen and pencil. I can sit here and type on my computer. Type out letters, newsletters, and stuff. I adapt. If I so choose. In fact, the only people you're hurting by doing that is themselves, because now we're really going to view you for what you are. And you're actually going to be hurting these companies, because they're going to feel it in their pockets. But hey, I've learned to take the good with the bad. I'll find ways to make something good out of a bad situation no matter what. I mean, some of my friends don't call me Smiley for nothing. That's some of the reasons they call me Smiley. You don't know what I'm feeling. You don't know what I'm thinking or doing, even in the worst of times. I can always have a smile on my face. Yes, that's deception. That's misleading. But hey, that's me. Taking the good or the bad and rolling with the punches. I'm going to make something good out of a bad situation. Oh, you do that? Okay, I got more time to work on projects. More time to learn skills that I've been putting off. Like working on the lathe out there, the wood lathe. Got everything set up. I just been watched tons of videos and learning how to use it. I just haven't went out there to master the trade, so to speak. Learn the trade for myself by putting my hands on and doing it myself, experiencing how it works and feels. That's something the video can't teach me. That's something the person that's teaching me, talking to me, telling me how it's done can't teach me. I have to have the experience to gain the wisdom. So, yeah, I'm a jack of all trades, master of none. Which ain't entirely true. I'm a master of many things. But even being a master, there's still things I might not know that could help me do things. And you can never truly a master of a trade. And I don't let my ego get that much credit. Because I know there's always going to be something new, some new trick to learn that'll make it easier. Even a master realizes that. You know, you heard me state it. The student is just as much the teacher as the teacher is the student. It's very sound, wise wisdom because it's true. Because they may bring up something we never thought about. Never even thought to question about it. And we get a new perspective. That's what it's about, perspective. My perspective and view on things are going to differ greatly from many of you. Why? Because I experience things differently. I do things differently. I'm unique. I'm much like the snowflake that we want to use to grade people. Every snowflake's unique, different, beautiful. So in a sense, when we're calling people snowflakes, we're actually giving them credit. We're saying they're unique and beautiful. Yeah. You know, because some people just don't have the time to study stuff like that and understand the beauty of a snowflake, how everyone's unique, different patterns. No snowflake is the same. You know, but hey, some people, if you say that, that'll trigger them. You know, sometimes we don't think about the words we use. You know, we might mean it in a mean way, but in actuality, we're deceiving ourselves. We're giving them more credit than they deserve because they're not a snowflake. You know, just like, you know, that's the other. We don't investigate origins of words, original meanings of words. We just take credit for what people call them. You know, we get caught up in the game, the name game, blame game, information versus disinformation, fact versus fiction, which, by the way, is nonfiction. But even with nonfiction, that's just one person's prerogative and perspective and view and opinion. You know, these are the decisions and scenarios that are in our life every day. What do we take from these things? How much power and meaning do we give these things? Do we actually want to look into and see if there's any other meaning behind them, any other agendas? Because even with an agenda, there's multiple other agendas within that agenda. Because sometimes it takes forever to play out and actually see and be brought to light. Why? Because we don't question it at face value, right off the rip. We don't weigh the pros and cons. We don't think outside the box. What else could it mean? What else could be behind it? What else could be played out from this? Interesting times we live in, right? how do we get to this point in life? How do we get to this point in time? I mean, start questioning those things. Well, some of it, we've seen the introduction of Common Core, but we can go back before then. I mean, a lot of this stuff starts at the home. In the 90s, they took out corporal punishment. They introduced, I can't remember the name of the agency, it's still around. You know, your kid went to school with a bruise. They were instantly questioned. Oh, we're going to call the agency and have them go investigate. You know, showing the parents how much control they didn't have in the family home, that it could be taken away and instilling fear. So now when they come and introduce Common Core vaccines, oh, if you question it, or you guess that they'll send this organization into your homes to take your children because you're being a bad parent, you're abusing your children. It all started way back when. We just can't change the labels, change the things, get people used to it, and slowly indoctrinate and introduce the system that we're actually striving for several years, sometimes a decade later into the system. Even though that idea was the original idea to begin with. Now they can do it much faster. It doesn't take a decade. It doesn't take 5 years anymore. Just a couple of years. How do they do that? Well, let's teach people. Let's use the iPhone, for example. First iPhone came out back when? I don't know. Before I owned one. I don't even own an iPhone. It was before I ever owned one. Like I said, I didn't own a cell phone until 3 years ago. I had no need for it. No desire to have one. But where can you find a landline? Where can you find a payphone anymore? Yeah. See? Got rid of the old. In with the new. Your iPhones and cell phones can do all these things. Oh, it can do it a little bit more now with the next upgrade. See, always upgrading. Always giving something away. Because there's a better version, a better model. Not questioning the fact that my 4-year-old cell phone, I had one, actually I have one that's 3 years old. Still works perfectly fine. Works just as good as my one I bought this year. Does the same thing. The only thing I really needed to replace in it was a battery. And the fact that I didn't like it because it was so small. I got big hands. I needed something a little bit bigger, something that didn't strain my eyes to read. So I upgraded. And I used it for the purpose I needed it for when I was traveling. No sense keeping it active when I'm not traveling, when I have a perfectly good landline. And if I really need a phone number, I can spend $2, well, just say $3, and have a Skype phone, which I've ran for years, that I can call anywhere in the U.S. and Canada for $3 instead of spending $35 or $45 on an activation card every month. Like I said, still have access to a landline, so I don't need even that spend $3. There's $3 I don't have to spend that I can spend somewhere else. We get caught up that we need to have this stuff. Or we get caught up, our children now have to have an iPad for their school. I know a lot of schools where it's mandatory. And a lot of schools issue iPads to our students, our kids that we may not want them to have access to that stuff at 5, 6, 7 years old. But it's required, so therefore we don't have a say. Or it's for education, so only educational stuff can be accessed on it. Yeah, right. and we know better. And we've seen what's going on with various stuff. There's always somebody out there who's going to take advantage and misuse something. And that's the problem with a lot of people. They talk about all the stuff that may be trending, or they start these labels that they adhere to or fall in line with, start following. They start compounding the problems, not directing the issue, the real issue. No, like I was talking about Common Core. They don't even refer to it. They might say it, and they start compounding on it, creating new problems, or addressing things that are similar and relate to it, but they overlook the core problem. And like I said, we can go back before Common Core, removing corporal punishment, taking the control away from the parents, your kid went in with a bruise. All these things have led up to where we're at today. And you guys wonder why sometimes I use the image of the chessboard and the pawns on the board. Yes, the world is a stage. The whole thing is a stage. People are playing chess with you. You're the pawns in the game. Yeah, they live in an illusion. They forget the most dangerous piece on the board is the pawn. I mean, why? Because we have choice. We have free will. We're unpredictable. They can manipulate us, but we can choose not to be manipulated. We can choose not to be used. And we can make our own moves and counter moves. And let them believe that they're controlling and manipulating us until the time's right to show our hand. It's funny how people can think of things and use things. If you just use that mind and common sense that God has given all of you, if you learn to question things, that's why I found it so interesting. I know I turned a bunch of people off when I was talking about the Bitcoin stuff. I went from four people watching to 2. But now, that's why I said will never support that. But then again, I do, because I believe in a bartering system. I believe that your skills and information has value. Because they do. More than we give them credit for. So therefore, I do believe in a form of cryptocurrency. Just not the way they make it sound. You know? It goes back to each their own, I guess. And it's like I always said, even when I was talking about it, it made me think. It made me question. It made me remember something that I had watched earlier this year, I think. Yeah, it had to be earlier this year. I never thought about it in those terms and those perspectives. What if, you know? It's been in front of us all this time. What if? Or some will say, well, what if was a fifth? We'd all be drunk, right? Take a lot of fists to get all of us drunk, but what if? Sometimes you gotta play those mental games. Sometimes you have to realize, shit, this has been in front of our face since the 60s. How do we overlook it? The Bitcoin label or image that our very own, I think it's our very own Federal Reserve had used. Makes you wonder who really created the Bitcoin and the idea of cryptocurrency. Then someone you say, well, okay, I can see that. But what's the real agenda behind it? Oh yeah, that's the question. That's the $1,000,000 question right there. What is the real agenda behind it? Just for information, or is it to get other people in other countries to adapt to the same thing and crash it, or not acknowledge it, or come out, as I pointed out, come out and say, we were the creators, we own it. How much power would that give a government, a nation? They take, finally lift the veil of secrecy and mystery and bring it to light. Might be something for some of you out there, or at the end of breaking that stuff down and exploring, to go explore. I'm not going to say here, I'm not tell you I'm right. It's just something that came to my mind as I was watching that video that Brittany did. No reason for it to come to my mind other than that's like, whoa. There was no reason for me to even tune into the video other than petrodollar. It's like, well, what are you talking about? You don't talk about things like this. Then I seen the image and it reminded me of something a couple people talked about earlier this year just because of the image. See, that's the power of imagery. Once again, something that I put away and forgotten. Here's the truth. Once you hear something and see something, you can't unlearn it. It's always there. You just need something to trigger it to bring it back to the front, which is the huge mystery behind symbols and using sigils and stuff. That is the ultimate mystery there. Used to recall. We do it with words as well. And sometimes we forget the value of things. Like I said, the real value of information. How many great empires were lost and conquered because of information, or the lack of information, or the propaganda, the disinformation that they bought into and thought the Trojan horse, a gift. Never thought that it was hollow inside to look inside. These are the things, Let's use that example for a bit, the Trojan horse. What if they would have just questioned it? Really questioned, why are they giving us this? Would they have looked and examined it further and found they got up closer to listen? All for lack of questioning, a city fell, an empire fell. History can be a great teacher. It was to teach us not to repeat our mistakes. But then again, what is history but his story? The story written by the conquerors, not the conquered. When the conquered write their stories, it's disinformation. It goes against the status quo, so therefore it is what? Disinformation, falsehoods, fiction. See, we may be living in modern times, but the vicious cycle continues. It's the same old strategies, just with different labels attached to them to give them a different name and a different meaning. They're all still the same thing when you take it back to its root origin. When you start questioning and thinking outside the box, you see it for what it really is. In the end, we make our own decisions on how we go to do things, live our lives. In the end, we say nobody can speak for ourselves. We speak for ourselves. No one can tell us what to do. But yet we let people tell us what to do every day. Huh? Who's living the illusions? Yeah. I mean, even I don't try not to let people tell me what to do, but in fact, they do. They tell me what I can do, what I can say, what I can't say. Even though I can say it, there's consequences to it if I choose to say it. So therefore, I may choose not to say something. I may choose silence. Silence is a weapon. Most people don't even realize the value of. I'm not going to always speak everything that's on my mind. Because I don't want to show you the cards before the game's over, so to speak. And I don't do that with you guys. I'm using it as an analogy. Much like the chess analogy can be said as great poker players play Texas Hold'em and various other forms of cards. Not only do you have to read the cards, you have to read the person. You gotta find their tells, know when they're bluffing, knowing how to predict their next move, be able to counter move or fold. Excuse me. Or being able to, yeah, you got me on. I think you're bluffing, but you know, these are the things that are always in front of our face. We're going to be dealing with them every day of our lives. Information, misinformation, disinformation, fiction, fact, labels that divide, systems that we can't trust, but we're told to trust. We're told not to question. The realization that we can put 20 people in a room and talk about one subject and everybody's going to have a different view and opinion on that subject. How do we learn from that? How do we process that information? How do we find common goals, commonality with each other and address the real issue? Those are the things we should be thinking about. Can we understand why this person believes this ideology, this theory, this possibilities and stuff? Can we question our own ideas and questions to see maybe it's just that we believe the same thing, we just have different ways of interpreting it and saying it. A lot of our problems is our ego. Somebody's got to be right, somebody's got to be wrong. Can't you both be right and at the same time be both wrong? In actuality, it can be. In reality, it happens more often than we ever want to admit. Why? Because we don't want to admit when we're wrong, and we don't want to admit when somebody else is right. That's your ego. Of course, that's also my views and opinions as well. See how the game goes. See how it works. The fact is, would you question anything about anything I've said tonight? Maybe not now. Maybe not for 5, 10 years down the road. It might take 5, 10 years down the road. Eventually, why? Because you heard it. And you've seen something that triggered that memory. And you'll start questioning. That's the importance. Somebody asked once, why do we do this? That's why. I might not sound or relate to people. It may not seem that way. because I'm not going to be able to foresee what happens 2 or 3 years down the line. You know, that person in passing that just happened to stumble on this video to hear that. You know, I might not ever hear about it. See, we do things a lot. We look for the rewards and things. You know what the reward is? Knowing that eventually somebody might hear that. That message that you were talking about was meant for them. There's the reward. Knowing that eventually somebody will hear this and they needed to hear it. We'll never know about it. Once in a blue moon, somebody will say, message you out of the blue. Somebody you don't really know. Something he's talked about a couple years ago. Yes, it's rewarding. It feels good. But too many people do it for that. They expect that every time. You know, what I expect is different from most people. I don't expect a bunch of subscribers, a bunch of followers. Don't care if I do. A lot of times I do it because I'm led, feel the need to talk about things or interact with the chat, learn things from them, let them talk, let them share their experience. That's why I do the things I do. Learning from each other, that's the value of it. That's the reward. I'm learning from you guys just as much as I hope you're learning from me. Even when I don't have an audience, I know I was led to do this video for a reason. I was led to talk about the things I'm talking about. Who knows, maybe it was for my own benefit, just to get things out of my mind. I can think on new things or new possibilities or question things that I haven't thought about, that these videos awaken inside me when I talk, that I'm going to focus on, because I didn't realize I missed that it was already perceived in my mind, but I never focused on that perception of it or thought of it. Our minds are funny little things. And the fact is we only use a very small portion of it. Imagine if we used more and more of it. And we are. Essentially, we're being taught to, through the information, through the connecting with people. Our minds are processing a lot more. Just not what we're being taught in schools. Like I said, I tried to find the good things in all this mess of things. Positives, because we need those positives. You know, it makes life so much better. And understanding there's going to be bad things that happen. We're going to go through bad times. But yet we can find the positive things. We learn from those bad times, so we don't go through them again. And for some of us, it takes a few repeats of that before it sinks in. You know? But as we get older, we start to learn that, hey, I get it the first time. I don't need a second and third or fourth or fifth. We're slowly teaching ourselves. Some of us faster than others, of course. I wish I could put myself in a faster bracket, but I can't. I gotta put myself in a slower bracket, or a medium bracket now. I'll let the ego have a little pride for once. You know what they say about pride. Pride comes before the fall, too. You know, it's just like good intentions. You remember, we all know the old saying. Yeah, the road to hell is paved with good intentions. You know, I think something I learned a long time ago that I still value to this day. It may not seem like we have our freedom. I mean, it may seem like our freedoms are being taken away, but the one thing you can't take away from me, my mind. My mind is free. My mind's free to make choices in how I want to live my life. And yes, there comes consequences with those choices. Because I might be going against the status quo with those choices. But that's where I retain my freedom, the freedom to make that choice. my freedom to let something in or remove it in my life. And sometimes sometimes you might need somebody to come along and give you that reality check and force you into losing that, to getting the true value of it. Because, hey, sometimes it takes that. Sometimes it takes that for the truth to really show itself, to reveal itself. I guess that's called looking for a silver lining, which I don't find nothing wrong with. Because it makes you think, it makes you question, it makes you not fall into a label and adhere to that label, to where that label consumes you and there's nothing else outside that label. But, in the end, it is what you make of things, how you take things, how you view things, that matters. It doesn't matter what I think and view and express. What matters is what you think and view and express about yourself. We'll see that. We see that in people every day around us. We see that in how people reflect upon us. It's how you choose to take that information and use it and process it. When you're doing that, you're as free as you can be, because you're not allowing one person's idea, label, agenda to define you. You're thinking for yourself, so therefore you become free thinkers. In the end, I respect that. In the end, more people learn from that and see that quality in you. Goes saying, how do you bring about change? Well, first, you've got to change. You can't change others if you're not willing to change yourself. Because they see the change in you. Therefore, they see it. And it affects them. They believe it because they've seen how you've made that change. And it might affect them enough to want to make the same changes or changes similar to that. Therefore, you've just started a chain reaction. But if you don't change, you can't expect to change anybody else or help anyone else. I'm not here to change anybody or change the world. Because, hey, somebody else might have a different perspective and view on it. But what you learn, you start drawing a like-minded people to you that have the same views, or that's the other secret of things. That's how people play on these movements, because they know they change just a little bit to give that illusion of change. They can draw like-minded people in. I don't want to draw anyone in. I want everybody to question everything. Come up with their own opinions and views. And that's why I state almost in every video. Question everything. Question everything I say. Don't take everything for face value as fact. Don't take it that I have all the answers, because I don't. I can only express the things I've experienced. And that's how I want to keep this channel and the other channels I work with and deal with, lead and live by example, not by a label, share my experiences, my theories, my opinions and views. I've been doing that for a very long time, even longer than I realized what I was, before I even realized what I was doing. I was, you know, the person that was just couldn't settle in one area and stay that area. I wanted to jump around from circle of friends, circle to circle, learning new things, experiencing new things. Never understood why. It was just my nature to be happy for a little time here, then move on to the next. Eventually I'd come back, But I've always done that. It allowed me to experience new things, see new things, new perspectives. Since I became a chameleon, blend in all my surroundings, no matter what the surrounding was. It fit right in, and I learned a lot. Makes it harder to judge people that way too, because you've experienced those things. You see where they're coming from. You understand. You walked a mile, so to speak, in their shoes. You experienced that life. That's the problem. Most people don't experience those things. Most people can't step outside the box and allow themselves to experience those things. Most people claim to be jack of all trades, masters of none, but how much of that have they actually experienced? How much of that have they tried to experience by stepping out of their ideological boxes? You know, these are the things I never questioned before, why I did those things. I understand them now. Why? Because I questioned those things. Sometimes it was pointed out. You know, and some of my friends probably want to keep me around, honestly, because I can adapt and I can blend in and I can see things and patterns and where they can't get into. Just like people don't realize how much of that stuff that when they walk into a building or a room they take in. Because you see everything. It just might not be focused or you don't register it. But you do see everything. Some people's got a good gift for doing this. They walk in their room, they'll tell you where every exit is, what group of people are in that room, where everything is that could be used to protect oneself, which is something else. I'm eventually going to do a video on that. More on the, being prepared and stuff. You walk into places and, can't carry and conceal, can't have a knife because they don't want no types of weapons inside the building, but yet you're surrounded with implements of weaponry and don't even realize it. Everything's a weapon in the right hands. You have everything in your disposal, and half the time you overlook it. You know, a lot of times you don't realize how close you are to that exit. Or you don't pay attention. You see it. Can't miss an exit sign, right? And you miss the table that's quite open over there, which very seldom is. Usually people like me see that, and we're going to sit over there. Nobody questions why all the seats where you have your back to the wall is always taken. It's natural instinct. Nobody questions that. They don't realize that they do it for that protection. Those are our natural instincts. It's like our natural instincts to perceive everything in the room, even though we don't acknowledge it or register it. Same thing for information. It can be applied. That's why I'm able to listen from various different people, different views, philosophies, ideologies, religious beliefs. You know, simple. You learn things from others. You know, sometimes you learn things not to do from others, just by how they do things. You know, and that also goes back to the part of me jumping from circle to circle, experiencing new things, learning new things. That's what it's all about, guys. That's pretty much what this whole channel's about. And defending the things that I believe in. You know, the things that are meant for us to be free. You know, and standing up for those rights. You know, just like me, am I going to go live stream a protest? Probably not. Why? I don't know. We've seen how some of that stuff went this year. And I know me. It goes back to what I said, knowing myself. Yeah, I'm not going to tolerate that. I'm just going to end up in jail. So I know not to put myself in those positions. You know, but there's some people out there that can, and I respect that and admire that in most people. Doesn't mean I agree with everything they say. I like to observe and watch sometimes. You know, sometimes that is the best thing, sitting in silence, watching, observing, listening to the things that you normally tune out because you're so focused on something else. You catch the things that you normally miss or that others are missing. But in the end, that's what everything I do is about. And it's, you know, even with the ramblings of the chaotic mind, it's fun to do. I enjoy doing it. I actually enjoy doing this more than subject talking because I can cover various subjects, you know, various things that I've perceived. You know, just talk about it. But I also, part of me enjoys the subject matter as well. It's talking on just a certain subject and discussing it. A lot of times, as I stated, I do this videos like this, and future videos comes from it. You know. And it's not because I go back and listen to my videos. I think that's something some people find kind of weird about me. Why I don't edit videos, stuff like that. I do them and post them right up and don't even have them. Why? Because, one, I can't stand listening to my own voice. It annoys the hell out of me. Which, you know, probably should question that. If my voice annoys the hell out of me, it probably annoys the hell out of you guys, too. I've always been like that. My voice, you know, drives me batty. That's usually, I used to do back when we had, you know, what were they called? I forgot. On our phones, yeah, the recording device. I can't remember what they were called. Yeah, see, I'm getting old. It's forgetting things. The voice answer machine. The answer machine, yeah, that's the word. Now, I used to record my voice on it. Why? Because used to work a lot of third shift. I'm not a morning person, unless I have to be. I'm more nocturnal. And, you know, if somebody called, you know, it was important, it was an alarm clock. I'd wake up. Yeah, of course, I'm not going to, depending who it was and if it was important, I'd hear, they leave a message, I'd hear it, or I'd know to answer the phone if it was something important. Those, you know, I used it as a trigger to wake me up. Other than that, I had no use for it. Because I didn't like hearing my own voice played back. Which, you know, so I don't go back and rewatch a lot of my videos. That's why I don't really edit my stuff. Because I don't want to sit there and have to listen to myself. Which is weird. I don't know. It's just me. But in the end, I'm going to wrap this up. It seems to be the one thing I can't do is fix it, so I'm only doing an hour and a half video. It always seems to go on and on. But like I said, yeah, for the rest of the week, I don't know if I'm going to do a video the rest this week, any more videos this week. And I'm pretty sure I'm not doing one on the 14th. I'm going to enjoy that day to myself. And we'll see how I feel after that. I may do one before then, I don't know. Like I said, you guys, I think by now learned with me that still pretty much spur of the moment. If something comes up, I want to talk about it, I'll come on. Why I don't really schedule things. But I do wish you guys all a wonderful week. Be safe. Enjoy it. Take time to find some good things in life. And tune out all the chaos and bad things that keep always in our face. And just enjoy yourselves. And I will see you guys in the next video.